There were jobs in ancient times that shaped the world quietly, performed by hands that never saw fame, yet carried civilizations forward. People whose names were never carved into monuments, but whose labor built every brick, every tool, every dawn. Before machines breathed for us, before light came from wires, the world moved only because people moved it. Their sweat carried water, their tools carved history, and their patience shaped cities one breath, one step at a time. At sunrise, a water carrier bent near a river, filling clay pots as morning birds announced the day. Every trip heavy, every road long, yet each step serving life. Clean water did not flow from taps, it flowed from dedication. In a small courtyard shaded by date palms, a young apprentice repeated ancient symbols on clay, hands stained with ink, shoulders tired from learning what memory alone once held. Writing began with struggle before it ever became beauty. As shadows stretched across stone paths, a lamplighter moved slowly with an oil bowl and flame stick. Each lamp glowed to chase darkness from doorways and hearts. Night didn't fall silently, people prepared the world for it. In forest stillness, sap glistened on tree bark. A tar collector scraped resin gently, storing nature's glue in clay vessels. That resin sealed ships, temples, homes, protecting dreams from wind and water. Every drop was earned, not extracted by machines. In the marketplace, grain measurers sat with stone weights and trust. Eyes sharp, hands steady, they guarded fairness like a sacred duty. Trade did not rely on digital screens, it relied on honesty. Civilization balanced on a scale held by human hands. By coastal huts, salt preservers rubbed salt into fresh fish, layering it like treasure to survive cold months ahead. Salt was not flavor, it was life against hunger. Their quiet preparation fed unknown tomorrows. Across long, dusty paths, a runner carried a scroll tied to his waist, legs burning, lungs aching, but duty louder than fatigue. News did not travel by lightning back then, it traveled by heartbeat. A message lived because someone was strong enough to deliver it. A shard of broken pottery turned slowly under careful fingers, edges ground smooth against stone until it sliced like copper. Even fragments were reborn, tools rising from ruins. Nothing wasted, everything useful, wisdom older than wealth. Beside a hearth, bone, water, and patience shaped a needle, smooth, polished, pointed with dignity, ready to stitch futures together. Clothing did not come from factories. It came from devotion. Care lived in every thread before fashion existed. Under harsh sun and rough soil, a well digger cut deeper and deeper, hoping each new layer of earth brought moisture and life. Communities gathered to watch, praying water would rise. Civilizations did not begin with buildings, they began with water. Bronze bowls glowed as herbs crushed under heavy stones, scents filling temples and homes with calm and memory. Fragrance wasn't decoration, it was emotion, ritual, meaning. People believed air itself could carry prayer. At sunrise, a lone voice echoed through silent streets, sharing births, warnings, and news carved into the rhythm of day. People paused to listen, not scroll, not swipe, just listen. Information once lived in breath, not screens. Inside sacred walls, fire keepers sat beside eternal flame, feeding it oil, whispering prayers, watching smoke carry hopes upward. Fire was not utility, it was guardian and guide. Where flame lived, people felt safe. Beside rivers, reeds soaked and softened under sunlight. Hands wove them gently, pattern by pattern, strength hidden in softness. These baskets carried food, seeds, comfort, future harvests. Nature provided, humans shaped nature with patience. Animal skins stretched tight across wooden frames, tuned with careful taps and listening hearts.
Drum signalait gâterie, danger, célébration, journée.
Before radios and alarms, sound traveled by skin and soul. Tiny tools carved symbols into wet clay, bulls, fish, script lines small as eyelashes. Identity pressed into earth, ownership written without ink. A whole language lived in quiet strokes. Reeds tied in bundles, layered on beams under open sky, creating shelter that breathed with wind and rain. Roofs once grew from rivers, not factories. Homes were living spaces, touching nature, not trapping it. Every forgotten job held honor, purpose, rhythm. They worked not for fame, but for survival, community, and legacy. If you're still watching, you carry patience like theirs. Stay, their stories are not done speaking. Under sunlight, a stone polisher smoothed tools on wet river rocks, hands moving in quiet rhythm, knowing sharpness meant survival. A tool was more than stone, it was strength, food, shelter. Skill lived in patience, not machines. Along river reeds, a papyrus cutter sliced stalks gently, bundling long fibers that would one day carry knowledge. Paper began not in factories, but in flowing water and quiet hands. Writing was born where rivers whispered. Beside a village fire, a flute carver shaped hollow reeds, testing each tone under breath soft as wind. Music rose before metal strings, before speakers, before recordings. Sound came from earth, not electricity. Crushed berries, boiling leaves, clay pots steaming with color. A dye maker stained cloth with nature's palette, vivid as sunsets. Color wasn't artificial, it was earned from plants and patience. Clothes once told stories through hue. Leather soaked, sewn, tied with tough thread from animal sinew. A sandal stitcher bent over work until stars appeared. Footsteps of a civilization rested in their hands. Walking comfort was a handmade gift. Strings of shell, bone, copper charms tied carefully for protection. Amulet binders believed safety came from symbols and hope. Faith wasn't bought, it was crafted and carried. Spirituality lived in pockets and around necks. Before kings or chiefs touched food, someone tasted first. Quiet bite, steady breath, life risking every mouthful. Loyalty tasted danger while leaders tasted comfort. Protection sometimes meant sacrifice in silence. Long strands twisted into thick ropes, dipped in oil, sun-dried. Rope that lowered buckets deep into earth to pull life upward. A rope wasn't just rope, it held entire communities above thirst. Strength woven by human hands. Dust mixed with water, shaped into oven bricks, sun-baked for days. These bricks built ovens that baked bread, warmed families, fired pottery. Warmth and food began in muddy palms and aching wrists. Civilization rested on humble clay. Seeds roasted slowly in bronze pans, stirred with wooden spoons. A simple job, yet the smell of roasted grain fed bustling markets. Energy for work, warmth for homes, comfort in every bite. Food once took time and love. Small copper bells hammered into shape, tied around animals to track herds across open land. Sound guided shepherds long before maps and satellites. Movement once sang through meadows. Animal hides washed, scraped, softened with oils under sun. Strong smells, long hours, yet essential work. Leather meant armor, clothing, shoes, life protected by handwork. Comfort was carved out of labor. Strings tied knot by knot into wide fishing nets. Patterns passed through generations like whispered secrets. Fish fed cities, nets fed hope. Harvest came from rivers, not shelves. A worker tended clay ovens all day, heat kissing skin red, placing bread, removing bread, feeding fuel slowly. The first bakeries smelled like earth and flame. Home tasted like smoke and wheat. High walls, quiet steps, eyes scanning horizon. Grain storage protected like treasure, for hunger is louder than war. Guarding food meant guarding future. Safety lived near harvest. Bundles of dried reed dipped in resin, wrapped tight in cloth. Torches stacked in bundles for night travel and temple watch. Light did not flick on, it was built by fire. Night once bowed to handmade glow. Long sticks scraped leaves from irrigation canals, saving crops, feeding fields, guiding rivers into life. Water did not obey pipes, it followed human will. Agriculture began in sweat and soil. Soft feathers tied to reed sticks, brushing dust from temple idols. Clean statues meant respect to gods and ancestors. Spiritual duty lived in delicate hands. Purity kept shrines breathing. Old storytellers sat under fig trees, spinning tales of heroes, storms, gods, and lost kingdoms. History lived in lips long before ink captured it. Memory survived because voices remembered. Every role, no matter how small, served life. Every forgotten job held honor that history books skip. These people built tomorrow one quiet action at a time. If you're still here, you carry respect for forgotten hands. By riverbanks, reed cutters stood knee-deep in water, harvesting tall stalks that once built roofs, mats, baskets, beds. Each cut measured, each bundle tied with care and rhythm. Homes began as whispers in flowing water. Olives pressed, seeds crushed, oil strained through woven cloth. Jars filled slowly, drop by patient drop. Light was grown and prepared, not plugged and forgotten. Night depended on the work of daylight hands. Fresh tablets laid flat on woven mats in sunlight, carefully turned so edges wouldn't curl or crack. Knowledge first hardened under the same sun that warmed farmers. Ideas baked before books were born. Thin reed stems carved to fine points, dipped in ink bowls. A pen wasn't purchased, it was shaped from river gifts. Writing tools held the scent of water and soil. Thoughts once flowed through plant fiber. By quiet docks, patchers sealed holes in wooden boats with resin and cloth. Kneeling close, breathing steady, saving journeys and lives. Travel relied not on engines but on humble repair. Safety smelled like tar and river wind. Climbing trees, smoke curling around buzzing hives, hands reaching carefully for golden sweetness. Honey wasn't convenience, it was courage and reward. Sweetness once came with risk and gratitude. Mud shaped into domed ovens, dried under sun, tested by first flame. Stoves were more than tools, they were family warmth, morning meals, comfort. Homes glowed because someone sculpted fire's home. Food lived in earth long before metal stoves hummed. Stones grinding grain, circle after circle through long daylight hours. Hands calloused, forearms strong, breath steady. Bread was earned through rhythm, not machines. Life turned with stone and patience. In winter mountains, cold air stung faces as workers cut ice, carrying heavy blocks wrapped in cloth and leaves. Ice stored for summer health and preservation before electricity existed. Seasons once obeyed human effort, not freezers. At crowded crossroads, a market crier announced crafts and goods, voice rising above chatter, guiding buyers to baskets of life. Advertisement was once human presence, clear, confident, honest. Commerce spoke through breath, not screens. Whistles, hand signs, baskets of grain. Animal trainers taught oxen, goats, birds. Not force, but routine and respect shaped cooperation. Human progress once walked beside animals, not above them. Partnership built fields and roads and journeys. Chisels tapping slow rhythm on stone blocks, dust dancing in sunlight. Faces, gods, stories carved into eternity. Art did not rush, it waited for inspiration shaped by hammer and heart. Beauty survived because someone listened to stone. Warm hands, calm voice, cloth ready near glowing oil lamp. Midwives delivered life in silence, strength, prayer, and courage. Hospitals weren't needed to bring humans into the world. Only love, knowledge, and steady breath. Eyes scanning sky, sniffing wind, reading clouds like scripture. Farms waited on this wisdom, no news channel, only nature's language. Rain was not forecast, it was sensed and understood. Prediction lived in heart, not radar. Bare feet moving slow, palm brooms sweeping stone paths before worship. Dust lifted gently, floor prepared with respect. Purity began with small humble movements. Faith walked where dignity cleaned. Swinging above rivers, tying new ropes, checking knots, whispering courage. Travel across cliffs depended on quiet bravery. One loose knot meant danger, one strong knot meant life. Safety hung from human hands. Food wrapped in leaves, buried in pit, stones warmed by fire above. Hours passed, smoke rose, flavors deepened. Meals tasted like earth, patience, and time. Cooking once meant waiting, not rushing. Old men and women sat under shade, sharing tales to young ears. Wars, floods, stars, love, tradition all protected inside minds. Books came later, memory was library first. Wisdom lived in wrinkles, not paper. These jobs are gone, their names fading, tools buried, but our world still stands on what they built. Their hands lifted humanity step by step, quietly, without applause. They deserve remembrance and respect. So when you look at modern life, lights, screens, comfort, remember it began with flames tended by hands, water carried by shoulder and strength, and stories told by firelight. History is not only kings and battles, it is workers who loved their craft. If you're still here, you honor them, and they would smile at that.